Good evening, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope that this will be a helpful, I guess I could call it helpful, episode for us. This is the last show we're doing before the November 7th election, which affects everybody that's within the sound of my voice, who's watching this or listening to it. And what we're going to try to do, and we've brought back Jay Givan, who's our political guy. And what we're not going to be doing is getting involved with a lot of esoteric issues. Yours truly is not going to be talking sports for a change. Actually, blood sport. That's what we're really talking tonight, yes. Which is local politics, what it tends to be. And no, we're not going to be talking about national elections. We're not going to be talking about gubernatorial, senatorial, blah, blah, blah. We're going to do just good old-fashioned local politics right here in Worcester. As Jim McGovern, when I asked him the question several years ago, I asked Jim, I said, well, Jim, why are elections not at the same level as they used to be? And he said, well, the election we were talking about is what we're doing right now, which is the citywides. He said, we consider those off-year elections. And he said, it's unfortunate that people just don't get worked up about it, which I agreed with him on, and I think that's a shame. Because all the other elections, I mean, they're nice to see Maureen Healy or Biden or whomever, plus, minus, however you think about those people. But where the rubber meets the road, where you live, folks, is right here in Worcester. And this is where you make all the difference in what's happening for the next several years by getting to the polls. In fact, before you go to the polls, find out about these folks. And don't just blindly go in and vote for them because it's a name that you recognize. It's better than nothing. But you're a hell of a lot better off actually reading about them. There's tons of information on websites. And I really strongly urge you to do that. Make it an informed vote, not just a rote vote. But I show up and I always vote Democrat, Republican, whatever. Okay, you really need to check out the issues because they're huge. And what we're going to try to do in the next 20 minutes, whatever, is give you kind of is the word primer or primer? I never knew the right way to pronounce that word.
Is it tomato or tomato?
Yeah, it's one of those things. Well, we're going to have a primer, okay, a primer, whatever your choice is on that, folks. But give us, from your perspective, Jay, a quick overview of the real issues and who's running and who should we be supporting. If you're conservative, leaning to being conservative, and I'm a proud conservative, period. Hopefully you are.
It's the usual stuff. Excuse me.
He gets all choked up with this.
Roads, schools, it's the usual issues, but you've got single-family zoning, which we discussed this last week. Yep. That's an issue that if certain candidates get their way and single-family zoning gets abolished, it's a genie you cannot put back in the bottle. Okay. Unfortunately, the Telegram and Gazette is basically turning into a pathetic little blog. I'm sure you heard that you mentioned the news last week. The Telegram and Gazette has lost 80% of its reading base in the last 10 years. It's down to something like 11 to 16,000 readers.
Oh, that's amazing. Never heard that number.
I mean, that is amazing.
Frightening. Yeah.
So, my dad used to eat lunch at the Millbrook Diner restaurant over on Millbrook Street. Yeah. Now they had the little yellow, glasses with the water, and he used to eat lunch quite often with Bruce Bennett, who I guess was the publisher. The editor. Yeah. And that fight back and forth all the time and I was too young. I really wasn't paying attention, but I understood the arguments. My dad's primary argument was, you need a hard-hitting newspaper for the benefit of the city and for the benefit of the newspaper. Because if you give readers something to read and inform the city, they'll know what's going on. They'll know the candidates and the currently elected officials, and they can make much better decisions. As Abraham Lincoln said, if you tell people the facts, most of the time anyway, they'll make good decisions. Telegram and Gazette has gone kaput. As you know, I used to blog for the T&G between 2009 and September of 2020. I told a little too much truth about Jim McGovern in my that final blog. And I had some issues with him, a few arguments. And a few times, I had written something and the phones would blow up. They'd go into an emergency staff meeting and they'd research everything I did. Turned out I was right. And they'd tell me, you did such a great job at this story. There really isn't anything we can add to it. I said, well, of course there is. I'm this little, donated my time and efforts. You have all the resources in the theoretical world to do follow-ups or really put this in the news section and not kind of tucked away in the blog section. They didn't listen. They didn't listen to my dad. They didn't listen to me. And they don't listen to the people commenting. And now they've got...
It's a white elephant. It's a white elephant.
Yeah, I mean, their subscriber, their readership is, what, the size of Holden?
Wow.
Rutland? It's pathetic. They used to have a readership of, I think, 250,000 people. 20-something years ago. Now it's, what, 15, 16?
And those people would read, they'd have multiple editions and everything else, plus, of course...
It's a Telegram, then Gazette.
Yeah. But it was like mandatory reading, because that was the Bible. That's where you found out what was really going on.
Right.
And little by little, that's dissipated, and they became, they would have these different, news stories that they pick up, and they had very, very few people who were actually, local reporters. They used to have one very, very good guy who ran their editorial named Chris Sinicola, and there was a big flap between them because of David Hitch. They wanted to fire David Hitch.
He's fantastic. Money.
A brilliant political cartoonist. And Sinicola said, you fire him, I'm walking. And they said, oh, you're not walking. He didn't walk, he ran. And he's long gone at this point. But
the ventures.
The thing of it is, that's one of the reasons that we started this show, Activate Worcester, to try to get some information out there that people might not ordinarily come across. That's where it's at, which is a good segue to this. We've got about 15 minutes left, okay?
So
who should people be voting for?
So I'm glad you mentioned David Hitch, because overall, and I'll get down to the candidates.
Sure, please.
When Hitch lost the Telegram and Gazette, that kind of highlighted an observation I had about who we need to elect as officials for Worcester.
Yeah.
If a city does not retain talent, the city's going downhill eventually. It can do this, but eventually it goes right off the cliff.
Like a ball club.
Yeah, you need city councilors in particular that are creative, smart, and there are smart people who may not agree with them, but they may be smart and intelligent, but they need to be creative and business oriented. That certainly helps. They actually need to know something about something instead of their own woke, narcissistic fantasies that rattle around in their head. They need to be creative. They need to think outside the box, as it were. And a lot of them, I think you will have, any city would be much better off if their city councils or board of selectmen actually traveled once in a while. Actually, when I was blogging, I sent, this is back in the Gaffney days to put a time period on it, I sent an email to all of the city councilors, where have you traveled to, and what have you seen there that we can bring back here? Only half of them answered. And some of the half, a couple said, well, I brought the family down to Florida once.
Oh, boy.
All right, great. That's better than nothing, I suppose. Soraya Rivera, of all people, answered me. I think that's before she knew who I was. I went down to Atlanta. I saw the skateboard park. Perfect. Build a skateboard park in Worcester, but make it Trump style. Trump style, not politically, but
Nice.
big, the biggest thing possible. So you can bring in TV events and all of this stuff, which brings in money. Getting back to my dad, he wanted to bring Formula One racing into the city. That was when they were redoing downtown with then Medical City. That, so he had a lot of big ideas. I kind of was stolen a few. But you need smart, creative people. And if you have that, the city will prosper.
And if you don't have it,
And if you
it
don't have
atrophies.
Exactly.
Which is where it's
And
at.
we have people that are more concerned about getting reelected by developing basically an underclass of constituents, i.e. voters, than the general welfare of the city.
Absolutely
Now,
true.
as far as the people on the left, Atal Hajiai, Tu Nguyen, I don't know who's in District 4 with any specifics. Jenny Pasillo, she'll be make the trio, and there are others. They may be smart, they may be nice, they may be knowledgeable in certain areas, but I think they are more concerned about their constituencies and their voter bases than the city at large. And when people on the left tend to be for the subsidized, affordable, they need a permanent underclass for them to get reelected. So you need to import an underclass, which is the illegal alien problem we have, and then it will just manifest itself out to how do you put a lid on it? Because I've asked this, and I've asked this to Republican candidates, like Jeffrey Sosa Parquet when he ran. Okay, the city needs more housing. I get it. Where do you put it? I mean, you can't put 5 pounds of you-know-what in a 3-pound bag. Where do you put it? When do you reach that maximum population? What does that do to services? Are there any limits on resources like water? Like in the town of West Boylston, we're allowed to get so much water per day, and if we exceed that limit for whatever period of time it is, the state will take over.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
As I understand it. And you don't want that to happen in education. I played a lot of sports growing up. I'm still playing the drums. And I guess getting back to my dad again, he said, fundamentals and emulate the greats. You need to crow, hop, and throw, or dribble, or pass, or block. You need the fundamentals so you can get good at it. And when you get good, you get better. If you emulate the greats, whether it's Carlton Fisk, or Gene Krupa, Buddy Rich, or Larry Bird, you don't go with a guy that's just got dropped and from the 7th draft pick. And you need to look at greatness and emulate that. I think David Peterson in District 1, I went to that debate, and you don't have to agree with him on everything. You don't have to agree with Donna Colorio, Mo Bergman, or whoever they are. But right now, the city council and the candidates, they're in 2 camps, and it's really not left-right. It's more up-down. If you have people that control spending, they want to bring businesses in, varied businesses. David Peterson said something at the old Norton St. Gobain area, the possibility of bringing in a movie studio. That would be huge. That will do much more to create jobs and stimulate the economy than putting up a 500 homeless beds. And I know that the homeless need shelter. I understand that. But you don't want to be a magnet either. We should take care of our own.
But the truth of it is, Worcester has become a magnet because.
So how do you reverse that?
We provide the services. And what happens is at night they go back to wherever they, really reside. And meanwhile, all the services are here. And who's footing the bill for said services? Worcester residents. And there's something that's not exactly right about that equation, if you think about it for a little bit. And the homeless issue continues to expand.
Which has gone up 30% since the last local election, according to Mass Live.
And it'll continue to grow. It'll continue to grow. Why shouldn't it? You provide services and so on and so forth. And a lot of that is tied into the drugs. A lot of that is tied into the immigration. We have people coming into this city literally from all over the world now. And I think you know this, my wife and daughter, they run a big diaper ministry called Marie's Mission. And 8-9 years ago, when they would have a diaper distribution, they would have 1 or 2 families. Now, at the last month that they did it, they had 235 families just coming to Greendale, and they opened a second location at St. Mark's, I guess it is, which is in Maine South, and they had something like 170 there. So why that explosion? Okay, because people need these things desperately. And the point is, they also try to provide language services, and you would think that English is still number 1. Spanish is slightly number 2, ahead of Twi. And there were 4 or 5 different languages that are just popping up out of nowhere, that you have to have somebody in residence there who can communicate with the folks when they come in, because they need those services, and it's a beautiful thing. But that's part of what's happening in the city right now, and it's.
They need to be taken care of in some way, but you do not want to set the economic circumstances to create this at the same time.
That's right.
So there's an old, the guy behind the original EIB microphone, he said that what's the opposite of poverty? Wealth. And what does the left want to do to wealth? They want to tax it, regulate it, prevent it from being created in the first place. So we have people, the city councilor in District 5, excuse me, she's the one that's been zooming around the district. I'm going to solve homelessness. I know what to do, but homelessness has increased 30% since she's been elected. And she's also the one that wants to tax and obstruct and devalue wealth. She's the one that wants to abolish single-family zoning. She's the one that, she may claim she wants the lowest residential tax rate, but you can't claim that and then support and advocate the Community Preservation Act, property tax surcharge.
The CPA.
It's one pocket and the other, and that routine. And just spend money. You've got problems. If you can't abolish single-family zoning, but you still want to ruin the valuation of the city, destroy the schools.
Which they're working on.
Yeah, which they're most certainly working on. There's a candidate, Nellie Medina. She can't spell. You go onto her social media page, you go onto her comments on some of the sites, Worcester Political Dialogue, on the Seven Hills Political Exchange. And that's another thing. If newspapers ought to realize there's a thing called the internet, Facebook pages and bloggers, and they're basically in competition with them. Because as much as conservatives may not like Bill Shaner, he's developing an audience. He's got, I think, 4,000 people that follow him.
Really?
May not read all the stuff, but this guy's got 4,000 people, and the TNG has about 16,000.
And trending down.
Yeah, and trending down.
Yeah, big time.
Turtle Boy, who knows what's happening there, but that's a whole other, that's a month of shows. But by and large, so the school system, 2/3 to 75% of students are barely meeting or not meeting minimum test standards.
So what we need to do is to dummy down the tests. That's the answer.
Well, exactly.
And that's exactly what they'll end up doing.
Instead of 2 + 2 = 4, 2 + 2 equals...
Yeah, whatever you feel it should be. Cat, it can be spelled K-A-T. Why not? You know, phonetically it sounds like cat to me. And that's, the standards continue to drop, and the money keeps getting poured in because they keep saying, oh, we need more money, we need more money. Well,
they have a record amount of money. Every year it's a record amount.
Well, that's the idea. That's the idea. Who wants to stop it? Oh, it's for the dear sweet children. Well, what are you doing what are you teaching the dear sweet children? And here again, folks, this is why it's so damn important that you know who's running, and because they've changed the whole makeup of the school committee now. They've broken it down ethnically, which is just mind-bending. So you can have little mini fiefdoms. When you think of the people that we used to have running the schools for many, many years, the John Manfredos of the world and so forth, I mean, these people were committed, Maureen Benenda, et cetera, totally committed to doing the right thing, not for a particular little group. They were committed to doing whatever they could do for the city, the kids of the city. And now they've got this thing broken down that, it's individual neighborhoods. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. And the reason that we have that is not because it was the right decision, because they were terrified, meaning the city, of being sued. Because every time they've been sued with anything like this, they get their doors blown off by the courts. Okay? So,
of course, just the opposite happens with the city council, the abortion
different story. Different story. This is what we're dealing with. Back to the elections. You mentioned, without mentioning the name, District 5, that's Hajai?
Atal Hajai is the incumbent.
And she's running against Rivera.
Jose Rivera, who's the challenger.
Okay. Literally the challenger.
And hopefully he'll be the champion in this race,
amen.
too.
Yeah.
I've spoken with him, met him a number of times. He seems like a pretty decent, reasonable guy. I don't think he's a conservative. He's not on the woke left. I think he'll go issue by issue and study it and do the best he can. And ultimately, if everybody were like that, it wouldn't be
Jose
fun.
is not a politician. Jose is a real guy, lives in the neighborhood. He's tuned into what's going on. And just like you say, he'll look at the different issues and vote his conscience and vote what his constituents are looking for. Not a woke activist, which is what she is. My suggestion is if you can do it, vote for Jose. He deserves it. In my area, which is District 1, we have Jenny Pasillo, who, as I say, nice gal, I know her, but she's a sycophant of AOC and a sycophant of Hajai.
And by the way, Mo Bergman does not eat poopy.
Don't even get started.
So this video was put out back in August.
That's Jenny.
Jenny Pasillo.
Yeah.
75 to 90-minute video, give or take. It's usual banter back and forth. The Seven Hills Political Exchange put out this video. Someone posted it onto there. And the administrator of that page put out the full video. Just here's this. No, we report, you decide, as the saying goes. In the edited video, or the cut down video, it's full statements. So there's nothing, it's not like this David Letterman thing where you cut up a bunch of words and stitch them together. She said Mo Bergman eats poopy. I would assume that's a joke, just goofing around.
Real
Immature
funny.
to say.
Real funny.
She said she wants to run and turn the city council into a circus. Well,
She also had some not so nice things to say about senior citizens who would
and
go,
concerns about crime in the neighborhood.
who would go to the Crime Watch meetings, of which I are one of them. Okay, we used to be at the library in Greendale, and you know, she made fun of the folks that would come to the meetings and be all upset about certain things, like they shouldn't be upset. Excuse me, young lady, they're the ones that are paying with their tax dollars for what's going on in the neighborhood. They have every damn right to get down there and to explain to the people, and they get a little, you know, boisterous, a little excited. So what?
Yeah,
And she's making fun of him.
So David Peterson, he's a business marketing guy. That's what I think the city needs.
Brilliant guy.
As opposed to Jenny Pasillo, who I've met her. She seems nice enough.
Aren't they all?
But politically,
Forget about
if you want higher taxes and you want a third vote for Atal Haji, whose tax increases abolish single-family zoning, vote for Jenny. At large, if you want the incumbent mouthpiece, vote for Tu Nguyen. She skipped out on her last debate. She says she can't stand long meetings. She gets anxiety. She has to medicate herself with gummy bears.
That's the one that has to eat. Guys,
It's a
we have to
joke.
wrap this up, but compare what we're talking about, these people, okay, to the folks that you've known over the years who were part of your city council, the Gary Rosens of the world and so forth, people who really cared about this city, regardless of the politics involved. They were involved, they did what they had to do to try to help out and so on and so forth, and they were professional. Most of them were either teachers or lawyers or whatever. Compare that to these
There are
pretenders.
Republicans, unenrolled Democrats that seems like I would support and you are supporting, as opposed to the far left people that do not have Worcester's best interest at heart.
Amen. November 7th, guys. Be there or be square. You got to get out and vote. No excuse. You can do absentee ballot, whatever you need to do. Make your voice heard, period. Thank you for watching. And middle of November, we'll get back together again, and we'll see what happened. Again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. And